Welcome in, divine collectives and detectives. It's Lady Isis, the spiritual detective, and today I am back with another episode, teaching, vibe, whatever you want to call it, okay? But we're going to tap into and finish our live from yesterday in regards to envy, gang stalking, frequency psychosis, maybe a little bit of quantum physics, obviously quantum physics, and how does this affect you on your day to day. I do want to say that, wait, first and foremost, if somebody's here, can you let me know if these words look right to you? Okay, because it looks backwards to me, but can you read these words correctly? Hey, spiritual. They backwards? Yes. Okay. So let's see. See, now I look cockeyed. I don't like that. Okay. Is this correct? I had to get used to it being this way. Okay. This is strange, but I want y'all to be able to see the words correctly. And I want y'all to see my merch. This is the original merch that I have on my YouTube page, y'all. Spiritual Detective, Who's the Real Criminal. Okay. This is all about diving into the shadows, psychology, exposing spiritual crimes that society commits. Okay. And that is on your mind, on your psyche, your spirit, your mind, and your soul. So that's what my channel represents. That's what being a spiritual detective represents. And yeah, I have new merch. My merch is changed now. It's no longer this. I redesigned it and I think it's better. I don't know. But if you like this one, you could get this one. I'll just re-upload it to the website that's connected to my YouTube. Okay. And what I was just showing y'all was my healing trauma ebook. This is the physical copy of my ebook, but I do have a ebook in the link in bio. Okay. So this is Awakening the Divine Feminine Within Through Healing Trauma, where I teach you how to take a comprehensive and transformative approach in real time. The war is on your consciousness. The war is on your frequency and your vibration. So I teach you how to neurologically reprogram your subconscious mind. Okay. Because, yeah. So I feel awkward on this side. Y'all gotta get on this side. Okay. That's better. Okay, good. So yesterday we talked about how does gang stalking show up from the 3D to 7D. Okay. And I said that we was going to come back today or whenever I came back live and just discuss I'm looking at the comment and just discuss how does this connect to secret societies, so on and so forth. Okay, but just let's give a little recap. Make sure you guys are double tapping the screen if you're just coming in, or hitting that like button if you're catching this live on YouTube. Don't forget to check out my Healer Trauma ebook, link in bio, and the new merch. Okay, don't forget to do that if you would like to support me in the channel. Okay, or Cash App. I am a reader as well. I read energy. I read cards. I'm a guide, like a trauma transformational coach, okay, as well. So if you would like any of my services, you can always email me or send me a message on TikTok. And my name is the same across all platforms. Well, TikTok, YouTube, and IG. I don't really spend a lot of time on Instagram. However, I am there. I'm also on Facebook too, but I don't spend a lot of time there either. Okay, all of my links will be posted in the description or the comment section on YouTube. Okay, so just a short recap in regards to gang stalking. energetically and psychologically. Okay, so Gangstalking is a coordinated psychological and energetic targeting where individuals or a group mirror the same behavior, frequency, or intention towards a person. Okay, on a 3D level, it's harassment. It shows up like harassment, surveillance, or social sabotage. On a higher dimensional level, it's a collective unconscious response to a person whose frequency disrupts the matrix hive mind. Okay? It's not always people per se. Often it's a programmed behavior, an archetype, and frequency reactions expressing through those archetypes. Okay? That programming. Okay? So they will perceive you energetically, spiritually, psychologically as a threat because they don't have the capacity to withstand your frequency that you're integrating, if that makes sense. Okay. So frequency psychosis is a term that I created. I mean, this is what I call what happens when a person nervous system cannot interpret rapid shifts in vibration, consciousness, or timelines. Okay. So the person may project their internal chaos and begin assigning hostile meaning to neutral or random events. Okay. So it's not that the events were never happening. It's just that you're becoming aware of the events and patterns that's been going on all the while. Okay. And that's because you are obtaining higher consciousness, higher awareness. Your gifts have increased and came online. Okay. You're integrating shadows. You're healing. Okay. So it's not clinical psychosis. It's frequency-based misinterpretation caused by overstimulation, fear, subconscious distortion. Okay. So envy on a multidimensional level is the energetic disturbance that merges or emerges when someone perceives your expansion as a threat to their identity or entire existence. Okay. So in 3D, it shows up as jealousy, sabotage, imitation, or competition. In the 4D to 12D, but we've only covered 3D to 7D, but 4D to 12D, it appears as energetic vampiring, projection, shadow possession, or identity fragmentation. Okay. Yeah, I promise my eye ain't cockeyed over there. I had to mirror this camera, so it looks a little weird to me. Anyway, envy becomes gang stalking when multiple unhealed people sink to the same low vibration and respond like a hive. Okay? So they may not even know each other. They don't have to know each other. But psychologically, they're vibrating on the same frequency, which makes them move like a hive mind group. Okay. So this is how you can experience that same energy at the workplace, out in public, randomly, from people that don't know you personally, but the energy feels the same. Okay. And basically what a lot of people are that is being controlled basically by this outside malevolent force. Okay. Some call it the matrix. I call it a malevolent force that hijacks the mind of people. Okay. It's a parasitic hive mind entity. Okay. And what it does is pretty much, if a person has not integrated their shadows, not done any healing, they pretty much can be programmed and used in this hive mind matrix programming and become an agent. Okay. Which means they can be hijacked or possessed by this malevolent force. Okay. So a psychopath is a soul mind connection is fractured. So a person whose soul mind connection is fractured, resulting in a lack of empathy, self-reflection, and inner truth. Psyche means mind and soul or spirit. Pathos means suffering and dis-ease. That is literally what a psychopath is. Okay? So energetically, it is a soul disconnection and identity automation. Okay? So they don't think. They just act. Okay? So when I say frequency psychosis, do keep in mind that psyche means soul. Osis is a process or condition. So psychosis literally means a condition of the soul. That doesn't mean you're crazy, but your soul is overwhelmed by unprocessed energy, causing reality distortions. Okay, so when you're in that phase and you feel like you're under attack, okay, because it does feel, it makes you feel targeted and it makes you feel like you're under attack. The best thing that I can say that I do and practice with my own experience and in my reality is observe. Okay, you have to observe your experience. You have to observe your nervous system and decode what your nervous system is informing you about. Okay, you're supposed to be able to read the data of your nervous system and decode that. So then you know what's happening. You don't overreact. And then you're able to recognize the pattern and pretty much deconstruct the matrix. Okay. So how does this connect to quantum physics? Quantum physics shows us, it teaches us that observation shapes your reality. Energy responds to intention. Consciousness fields sync and entangle. So gangstalking happens when multiple people unconsciously collapse into the same frequency field and behave like one entity. Quantum entanglement of the shadow. That's malevolent force. That's what I call it. Envy generates coherent low frequency fields that attach to the target like a quantum signal. Okay, so frequency psychosis happens when the brain cannot integrate rapid quantum level shifts in vibration, perception, or dimensional awareness. Okay, this is why I connect this with healing, because it's like if you have shadows that you have not claimed, then that means that you're going to perceive your reality from a fear-based mindset. Your perception is going to be rooted in fear. Okay, so if you have shadows that can pretty much hijack you in that moment, because now you're in fight or flight and now your perception is distorted, which means you can't critically think in that moment. You can't observe what's happening. Okay, you can't decode your nervous system. So then you start to create more experiences of gangstalking behavior and magnify it. Okay. So psychosis happens when the brain cannot integrate rapid quantum level shifts. You're shifting. You're gaining higher awareness. Your spiritual gifts are coming online. Okay? You're more aware and spotting the patterns. It's not for you to be fearful of it. It's for you to further investigate what's happening and detach from that. You are not your experience. It's your responsibility to observe that experience. Stand rooted in truth and knowing, and trust your intuition is guiding you. Your spirit guides, your ancestors, the Most High is guiding you, and that you are safe. Okay, but if you have unhealed processed trauma that you haven't healed from childhood, whatever that may be, then it's going to distort your experience and your reality. Rich Rising, Bridget. Okay. So how does this connect to collective consciousness? Collective consciousness is a field of thoughts, emotions, trauma, archetypes, and unprocessed shadows. So when someone rises above the collective field, okay, the field often pushes back through projection, NPC behavior, matrix agents behavior, hive mind reactions, coordinated interferences, envy-based psychic attacks. Okay? Gangstalking is the collective unconscious collecting glitch. So gangstalking is the collective unconscious self-collecting glitch. So it's like you become the glitch in the matrix, and then the matrix responds to you becoming the glitch by using envy-based psychic attacks or coordinating interferences or projecting onto you. And someone said in the comments, they're everywhere. They literally are everywhere. Okay? This is how you can experience that same spirit wherever you go. But again, it's not to be fearful, it's to observe. Okay, I see you're an NPC. You're an NPC. So why would I, overindulge, explain, argue with you back and forth, or whatever it is that they're trying to get out of you, to get a rise out of you, to get you to lower your vibration and your frequency. Okay? That's ultimately what it is. Because remember, you are like chaos to a fear-based NPC, limited belief thinking agent. So they perceive your authenticity and your coherence, your expansion as a direct threat to this hive mind program system. So by default, they're going to want to stabilize their field by attacking what they perceive. Keyword, what they perceive as a threat. Not that you are a threat, but they perceive it as a threat because their perception is distorted. Okay? They're not seeing clearly. They don't have the ability to critically think or accept the fact that you're just being your authentic self. Okay? They operate from a space that wants to have power, dominance, and control. And that happens multidimensionally. Okay? From the average Joe to these societies, intelligence agencies, militant agencies, all of that. We're going to get into it, but I just kind of wanted to give a recap. Okay? And to let you know that you're not crazy. What you're experiencing is real, but you don't have to attach to that experience. You just observe it. Because all of these covert, vindictive behaviors and projections, it's just for you to observe, because if that were the case, like I said in the last live, why wouldn't they, if they're so threatened by you, why wouldn't they just directly attack you? Why do they have to be so covert and manipulative and psychologically and psychically attack you? So it's about becoming aware of how you're being attacked psychically, psychologically, energetically, electromagnetically, and frequency wise, because ultimately it's about your frequency, right? They want to stabilize their field by lowering your frequency to make themselves feel comfortable around you. In layman's term. Okay, so this may or may not resonate with everybody. My messages are not for everybody. Okay, my messages is for the thinkers, the critical thinkers, the ones that want to learn, the ones that are, creators of their reality, the ones that question things, investigate the investigations. Okay, so I know that my message is not for everybody, especially if you are limited. You have a limited thinking. You know what I mean? You don't have an open mind. Okay. So I pretty much break down the metaphysics, the mechanics, or the science behind what I perceive and what I realize is a collective issue. This is a collective issue. See, I'm glad you started going on. Yeah. Because I usually go live on YouTube. But I've just decided to go live on TikTok because I can just take this live and post it to YouTube. It still works out. Okay, so do keep that in mind. Respond from your highest self. Right. But a lot of people, like I say, see, trauma limits your entire experience. Right. it limits your experience. So they don't even have the access to their higher self because of their limited beliefs and that they place on that concept. Okay, being connected to your higher self is a gift in itself, right? That's a skill, and that requires healing. That requires transforming trauma into purpose or wisdom, pain into wisdom. It requires that. Okay. Appreciate your divine witness, divine intelligence. Ashe, notary. Okay, y'all. So now that we have done a short recap, okay, I'm gonna come back to that in particularly, especially how it connects to. We probably do more quantum physics talk about that in a minute, but let's go back, okay, because I wanted to talk about how does envy look through secret societies and intelligence networks. Okay, now envy through the lens of secret societies, intelligence agencies, occult fraternities, and shadow networks. Okay, let's explain this multidimensionally, and let's try not to take it personally, right? Because we're not operating from a victim mentality, or, you know, we don't want to dwell within the concept of being a targeted individual. Okay, you are a divine chosen one. Okay, who people who don't resonate with you take you as a threat. Okay, we want to reword that. Thank you. I see somebody said to give. Thank you. All set. Ashe. Okay, we don't want to claim that. And I'm not gonna sit here and say you're wrong for feeling like you have been targeted, because there was a time where I was like, I know for a fact I'm being targeted. But in actuality, in hindsight, you're integrating, you're expanding, your consciousness is expanding. Okay, and it's magnetizing. Your quantum field is magnetizing, which means it's like a magnet, and it's pulling in also things that, or like other people's field is magnetizing to yours as well, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's not personal per se. So we don't want to victimize ourselves. Okay. However, envy through secret societies and intelligence networks, I don't want to say that. I don't even know why I still have that right here. Hold on, y'all. Okay. They envy the effect that you have on reality. Okay. They envy the effect that you have on reality. So people inside these structures are trained to study frequency, map influence. They monitor electromagnetic fields. They observe psychological patterns. They track consciousness shifts. And they watch timelines, anomalies, however you say it. Okay? So, when they envy you, or you feel like that's what's happening, right? It's because your existence bends probability. It bends literally reality. Okay? In ways they can predict or control. So somebody say, how are they doing all of this? It's intelligence networks. Okay, so we're talking about basically surveillance, monitoring electromagnetic fields. Okay, they can do this. Okay, I encourage y'all to definitely go do your research and study how the CIA and secret societies like the CIA or intelligence agencies, what type of ways has technology evolved to where they can monitor and surveillance these things. Okay. And then on top of that, like I said, there's a shadow government at play that I call the malevolent force. There is a malevolent force that operates in the shadows. Okay. I will even go as far as to say it's like a deceptive intelligence, okay? But it has to distort and manipulate divine intelligence in order for it to even have any sense of intelligence, okay? But to them, you're not a person, okay? To them, you're not a person. You represent a collective consciousness, just a collective entity to them, to this system that wants to have power, control, and stop the awakening, stop the collective from expanding its consciousness collectively. So individually, they want to stop you from evolving, and then collectively, they want to stop the collective from evolving as well. Okay? So a free consciousness inside a reality built on control. The system is built on control, dominance, power. Period. Oppression. Okay? The system benefits off of your oppression. That's physically. Okay? We can see now, physically, what ways does oppression show up even though we are not chained or bound to a plantation? You got bills. You got to pay for things that grow in nature. Okay? They're manipulating nature. Okay? How does it show up spiritually, psychologically, mentally, emotionally? Okay? Control. They want to control every aspect of your being. Okay? So multidimensional envy and secret societies. Okay? Frequency, envy, energetically. These groups are hierarchy based. So rank equal access, which equals power. This is how they perceive it. Why? Because they don't have access to sovereignty. They're not connected to divine source nor divine intelligence. Okay? These are people that are psychopaths, narcissists, handlers, okay, malevolent spirits, or people who refuse to heal. So they may take a route that's rooted in hierarchy to give them that false sense of power, dominance, and control. Okay? They're not authentic. I want to look up this word. Hold on. They're not authentic. Make sure you guys double tap on the screen if you're here. Make sure you smash that like button and hype me up on YouTube if you are on YouTube catching this. Okay. Okay. So remember I just said that you are an anomaly, right? I wanted to get another word for that, just for those that may not understand what that means. Okay, so it's another word for anomaly is abnormality. Okay, so they perceive you and your awakening, your expansion as abnormal, as a phenomenon. Okay, a freak of nature. Like the nerve of these beings. The nerve. They perceive awakening and higher consciousness, divine intelligence as a freak. That's crazy. Okay, but that's what that means, okay? So, right, these groups of hierarchy based, they are more concerned with rank, access, and power. When you are authentic, you automatically gain rank, access, and power. Okay? From the divine. And I say that humbly. Okay? Because you become a part of a space where you are wise enough to teach, but you are also humble enough to learn and be a student. Okay? So that is what it really requires. And that is not what some people are willing to give. Okay? They want to access rank, access, and power by exploiting, traumatizing, abusing someone else in order to feel powerful. That's really weak. Okay? It's really weak. So this is why we will threaten people who get this false sense of rank, access, and power. Okay? So when someone has natural intuition, natural intuition, organic psychic perception, rare soul coding, spiritual immunity, karmic backing, okay, ancestral protection. It destabilizes their artificial hierarchy, okay? So you pretty much threaten their whole entire existence, their whole sense of power, their whole rank, the whole group, okay? Just you being in your authenticity. Authenticity is the highest vibration. So if these are low frequency, low vibrational entities and beings, that's why you're vibrating at a level that they can't even perceive access to or control. So who really has the power? You. Okay? And they want you to believe that you don't. That's why they want you to be caught up in a concept of being a targeted individual so you can tether yourself to this 3D experience when you are a multidimensional being having a human experience. Okay? They want you to spend years of your life feeling like you are a targeted individual instead of detaching and observing your experience. Okay? So they envy what they cannot initiate into. You cannot initiate spiritually and connect with source if you're still holding on to false senses of power, envy, dominance, power, and control. Okay? Or you lack authenticity within yourself. You lack self-respect, integrity within yourself. Self-love within yourself. Anytime a person is seeking to control another person outside of themselves, it's because they lack self-control within themselves. So now they feel like they got to control, dominate, attack, abuse, traumatize everybody else and project that bullshit on everybody else. So they will envy you because you don't operate like them. Your core values don't align with theirs. You don't resonate with them. Y'all cut from two different cloths. So they will envy the fact that you are spiritually initiated. Okay? And that takes you balancing the scales in your heart chakra. Okay? And your heart being light as a feather. That's the energy of Ma'at. And that's what it takes. And if you're not willing to take accountability and responsibility for your own life, then you are a parasite. And if I know that a person is a parasite, I would just stay away, right? I wouldn't even allow them in my space. I wouldn't give them the time, the day of the day, energy, conversation, nothing. And you also have to be comfortable with being in your own space. You have to be comfortable with being in your own space, sitting in your own energy. You okay if you have friends or not? You okay with it or not? Who are you willing to walk away for your own sovereignty and your peace? Who are you willing to let go for that? Okay? What environments are you willing to walk away from? This is how you gain spiritual rank. And I don't say that egotistically. And I don't want to come off like it's an easy process either, because it's not easy, but it's possible. You just have to be willing to open your mind, see the truth of who you are and who you have been, your own toxic ways, your own parasitic ways, or your own people-pleasing ways, and fix those things within yourself. Spiritual initiates by way of the divine are not people pleasers. We don't seek outside validation. We don't victimize ourselves. We observe. We integrate. We alchemize. Okay? We stand in our power and in our truth and in our authenticity. That is your weapon. And that's something that nobody can take from you. Nobody can take your authenticity from you. I don't care what they say. I don't care how many smear campaigns they do. I don't care how many organized stalking they come up with, who they paying, who they try to set you up against at your job, how many alliances they create, how much false information they spread about you. Telling you, I know what it is to be feeling like you targeting like everybody against you, but it says more about that person and that group more than it says about you. Because the truth gonna be the truth. Your authenticity gonna be your authenticity no matter what they say. And see, this is why it's important for you to heal as well. Because nobody can shame you into a lower timeline or back into your lower self. They can't, it's nothing that a person can say about me that will make me shut up, that will make me want to go hide under somebody's rock, that will make me feel exposed. Nothing. That's what true authenticity is. When you fully accept yourself and you fully work on yourself. And you can speak your truth, regardless of who it offends. When you can live in your truth. When you don't just talk about being a good person, you actually embody a good person. And I didn't say a pushover, because that's not being kind to yourself. If you are a pushover or a people pleaser, you are self-sabotaging yourself. And you also are teaching people how to treat you. By having no boundaries. You have no boundaries. Everybody think you green. They think you goofy. Even if you like, I'm just being kind. I'm just doing this out the kindness of my heart. If they're toxic and parasitic, they don't perceive it as a good thing. They perceive it as you are a goofball. That's how they perceive it. You're gullible. And I had to learn that. People who are traumatized and they are abusive in all of their ways, they're just abusive. They're not going to receive you and see all of you and accept all of you. Okay. Only people who are authentic to themselves will see all of you, will appreciate all of you, and won't judge you or won't seek to control you to make themselves feel comfortable. I say it all the time. My light ain't got to dim your light. We can shine together. I want you to be exactly who you are. Okay? You being exactly who you are don't make me or break me. It doesn't make me uncomfortable. In fact, I'll gas you up. And see, envy don't move like that. Envy will act like it's excited, act like it's supporting you just to get close to you, to try to destroy you. Okay? So don't make no excuses for people that abuse you. Make no excuse for abuse. Make no excuse for a person that chooses to mistreat you. Okay? Envy is a form of gangstalking. So this is why I felt the need to go in detail about that. Okay? And yes, it can be your exes. I do see y'all comments, but sometimes when I'm talking, I don't want to get too distracted. Okay? Yeah, somebody say villain era. You say it's the Imperial Grand Lodge, King Charles, Gangstalking the Chosen. I could believe it. Beyonce is the shit Gangstalker, aka, yeah. I had to learn to even disconnect from my own mother. Absolutely. I had to learn that too. You can't be kind to demons. They take your, exactly. Demons will take your kindness for weakness every single time. Every single time. You know, so, right. So as we was talking about fraternities, okay, and secret societies, they have to pledge into these cults, okay, these covens, these fraternities, sororities. They have to pledge, which means they have to pretty much sacrifice their sovereignty in order to be accepted into these cults. So if you have to sacrifice and pledge into a cult that requires you to demean yourself, to lower your sense of self-worth, to the shit that they be doing to join these secret societies or cult, whatever, it's crazy. That should tell you everything you need to know. You are being psychologically controlled. They're controlling you. And I'm not going to argue about it, because I do the research. And like I said, I talk about what I know. I know. And anybody that says different, they're lying. You have to do diabolical shit to join these cults. And mostly it's because you want rank, access, and power. Okay? That's what they want. They want a sense of standard, some type of success in the community, something that they're gaining from it. They're gaining something from it that they feel materialistically, right? You're gaining something materialistically. And a sovereign being does not sacrifice their sovereignty to be accepted in nobody's cult, where they have to bow down and give their sovereignty to somebody else, their power away. That's not what a divine being will do or ever do. They will walk away from people, places, and things that do not serve their highest good. And the things that is connected to these fraternities and these societies is even more diabolical and sinister. Rather, I know it depends on which degree. Maybe you won't experience what the highest level degree will experience, or what they will do to rank up where but that doesn't make you less guilty. You are attached to it. You're attached to it. So you're not exempt. Period. All right. Now, identity envy. Secret societies cultivate symbols, archetypes, titles, and oaths. When you embody divine feminine, when you embody divine feminine energy, frequency, okay, the source, the blueprint, ancestral power, what I like to call a spiritual detective archetype, where we investigate the investigations and question everything. The uncorrupted chosen one, heavy on the uncorrupted, okay? The matrix breaker and matrix decoder. You represents a uncontrolled archetype, okay? They envy the way you hold power without permission, ritual, or hierarchy. It's like people will do whatever to be seen as powerful to other people. Chosen ones don't have to do that. Sovereign beings don't have to do that. Okay? You are, if anything, you are the hierarchy. You are the ritual. And you don't need nobody else's permission or acceptance to, push you to be who you are or encourage you to be who you are. You don't ask permission, you just do. Okay? And that's what they don't like. They don't like the fact that they cannot control your authenticity in your mind, your intelligence. So what they'll do, like they just did on the screen, they'll restrict my videos, they'll restrict my outreach, because I'm not encouraging you to be a slave, a compliant slave. I'm not ever going to encourage you to be that. I'm never going to encourage you to give your power away and lay down like a dead dog and let somebody walk all over you. And they don't like it. Okay? But see, that's what happens. And I can say that's the Gangstalking tactic. But what the hell? Oh, well, I just keep going. And whoever needs to see this message will at whatever time. Whatever this, time is fluid. It doesn't even matter. But it's a tactic, subconsciously, right? Or psychologically to say, shut up. Because why would they want to limit my outreach? I'm not doing nothing illegal. I'm not saying anything that's incriminating. So why, right? But as I observe, right, we look at that and we say, oh, they want to silence me because I'm a threat. Go figure. Cry to your mama. And if they shut it down, they just shut it down. I go to YouTube. YouTube will let me do my thing without doing all of that. But anyway, so influence envy. So they will envy your influence, which I experience a lot of too. Okay. And if you are a content creator, I don't really like to say content creator, but you are a person that does social media and you're speaking facts and you're speaking divine truth. Okay. You're speaking truth. Then the way that they will try to silence you or to humble you. Okay. And that has a lot to do with influence envy. Now, even people that know you in your real life will also do the same thing because they envy your impact. Okay. So they may try to come and harass you on your social media. Okay. They may try to smear campaign you, character assassinate you, all of the things. Keep going. Fuck them. Okay. Keep going. Don't let nobody shame you into silence. It's a gang-stalking tactic. It's envy. At its core, it's envy. Okay? Because why even watch somebody you don't like? Why go to their page and you don't like them? I block everybody in my phone. Why are you here? I don't want you on my page. You know what I mean? I don't want you on the social media. But people who are obsessed with you and they envy you, they will find a way to keep coming back because they want you to stop. Ultimately, they want you to humble yourself and silence yourself. Go crawl under a rock and be quiet. That's what they want. That will satisfy them because your shine blinds them. Right? That's how they perceive it. Crazy. Okay, so your voice, your energy, your presence wakes people up. It disrupts illusions, breaks conditioning, exposes narcissistic handlers. Interrupts groupthink. Okay? That means you interfere with recruitment, indoctrinations, predictive programming. That is why you are a threat. And this is why I believe counterintelligence agencies was created. Because whose intelligence are they counter-reacting to? Ours, our awakening. So it's about strategy for them. It's about what ways can we strategize and calculate against going against the chosen ones, the divine beings, the star seeds, the high vibrational beings. Okay? How can we counter react to this intelligence that is all knowing, infinite, and divine? They cannot control divine intelligence. Okay? However, they envy the fact that you are unprogrammable. So they would try to attack you in any way that they can. Okay? In any way that they can. So soul rank envy as well. So in esoteric systems, soul rank determines influence, protection, psychic access, and karmic authority. Okay, this is why I tell y'all, fear not. Because if you truly are integrating and healing yourself and you're in your authentic power, your sovereignty, and your truth, okay, you have natural influence. Naturally, people are going to gravitate to you. People are going to find what you're doing interesting, no matter what that is. Okay. Creating art, a speaker, a singer, songwriter, artist, whatever it is that you do, you're going to naturally influence. Okay. Accept it. Embrace it. We want to hear it. We want to see it. Forget the ones that are envious and hating and want you to stop. Okay? Keep going. Because somebody's life and consciousness depends on it. Somebody's consciousness is waiting for you. Because we are all interconnected at the end of the day. So somebody, you're going to influence somebody. If that's just one person. It's 8 people on here and I'm fine with that. Because like I said, you won't be for everybody, but you're going to be for those people that resonate with you. Okay? And that's okay. That's okay. You know? So people who climb through rituals, sacrifices, oaths, manipulation, and power theft envy people who have arrived at that level organically with no corruption, no manipulation, no deception, no stealing. We don't have to do no rituals. Not like what they got to do. Now, if you personally do rituals to help your subconscious mind and reprogram your subconscious mind and use it as a tool, that's something different. Okay? But once you get on a certain path or a certain level in your journey, you'll realize that you are the ritual. Spirit is able to fully manifest through you, and you'll be guided to do what you need to do at that time. Okay? And that's not going to be doing the same ritual every day, all day. You know, no, that's not how spirit moves. Okay? Excuse me, y'all. Because it's constantly evolving. It's constantly, it's infinite, right? So you don't want to indoctrinate your spirituality by doing the same things over and over with no growth, no evolution. Okay. But anyway, they envy you because you organically have influence. You are protected. You are divinely guided and connected. Okay. And you have psychic access and abilities that they cannot control. You're a seer. You see shit in your dreams, in your third eye view. You get downloads and upgrades. Okay? And you have karmic authority. Okay? And I realized that when my ex tried to take my life, and just looking at his life now, you cannot go and try to do diabolical shit like that to chosen ones who are connected to source, okay, and are authentic, and think that you're going to get away with the shit that you do. Okay? Try to take my life and then look at yours. You know, that's just how it goes. So maybe somebody here needs to hear that. Okay? So even when they try to take your life, they cannot take your life prematurely because you are cloaked. You are protected and illuminated. So they cannot. That's why they try to attack you from the shadows and try to get your vibration to lower and your frequency to stop you on your path. You have a path that's already written in the cosmos. Okay? So just knowing that, like I said before, walk with confidence in knowing that you're divinely guided and protected at all times. You are walking judgment. Okay? You are walking judgment. See a squirrel outside. Okay, so envy within intelligence agencies. That's the CIA, the NSA, M16, FBI type frameworks. Okay? Just to name a few. And then you got these secret societies of these secret societies and intelligence agencies as well. Okay? So intelligence envy is not emotional. It's operational. Okay? They envy your pattern recognition. How you naturally recognize patterns. Anybody here realize that you naturally recognize patterns, like, and you don't forget? Like, your memory is not nothing to be played with. It should be studied. This is why they study you, because they can't figure out how do you have this ability, and that's divine intelligence. That's what they cannot corrupt, disrupt, or manipulate. Okay? So your ability to integrate data instantly, bam, you call it. Okay? Your intuition is sharp. You see through illusions. You decode behavior. You read subtext. You catch psychological warfare in real time. Because you have the ability to decode your own nervous system and how it responds to energy and frequency. Because your nervous system is communicating data, information, and you decode that naturally. Nobody taught me how to do that. Nobody taught you how to do that, Divine Collective. It's just in you. Okay? It's just in you. Okay? So this undermines their tactics. So like I said, no matter how many counterintelligence agency operations they come up with, it's not enough. It's just not enough. It's like they're fighting a war that doesn't even exist for real. They're fighting against an intelligence that they are ill-equipped to go against, and never will have the right equipment or knowledge or intelligence. So you see how that comes off like a psychopath or oxymoron on a government scale, from a government perspective. Okay? They fear the collective awakening. Okay? Because it would demolish this entire system entirely. Okay? So they envy your untrainable vision, your psychic abilities, your resistance to psychological operation. Most people collapse under gaslighting, confusing scripts, triangulation, interception of communication, emotional noise, rumor warfare, isolation tactics. But you didn't. But we did not. So your intuition sits above their manipulation. They just ain't enough. They just don't got it. And it's a war that they are creating. They're creating this war because they perceive you and your divine intelligence as a threat. They envy the fact that they can't scramble your internal compass. It's too solid. It's too tapped in. It is source. They can't do anything with that. Your ability to self-stabilize. You don't need handlers. You don't need external validation, group identity, a narrative to hide behind. You are internally governed. That's sovereignty. Not externally controlled, okay? And you don't seek to be externally controlled. You don't seek to be validated by external things either. See, the divine did not create us to be controlled. That's why we have a willpower. And see, this is why I say, who's the real criminal? You see that on my shirt? Because these are spiritual criminals and thieves, hoodlums. Okay? They think that they are going to get away with overriding the willpower of children, people, the collective, the masses. You don't get away with that. And the way that they do it is through trauma-based programming. Trauma, abuse. To maintain this false sense of hierarchy, power, and control. Because they envy divine intelligence because they are psychopaths. Do y'all think that it's rare or it's a coincidence that they have to check, or you go through some type of psychological evaluation to join the military, the Navy? No, they want to check your psychological temperature to see if you are able to be controlled. If they could utilize and override your critical thinking and your intuition and program you to not critically think and act when they want you to act. Do what they want you to do. Don't y'all know that they got psychics, witches, and high spiritual beings in the Navy and in the military? Don't y'all know that? They have it there for a reason. People who have the ability to remote view, they have them there for a reason. Because they hijack and pretty much want to control their spiritual gifts. So when you're not able to be psychologically evaluated to the point, or psychologically manipulated to the point where they can get you to respond for their agencies and be used as a tool, you become a threat or enemy to these intelligence agencies. Okay? So your unpredictability, the highest threat to the intelligence operations is someone who does not follow programming, doesn't react to manipulation, doesn't collapse under pressure, refuses to be baited, elevates under consciousness. So you go within, learn too fast, and doesn't break. They don't know what to do with you. Okay? Predictability is control. Unpredictability is true freedom. And if you're like me and you're against all forms of slavery, then I'm sure this message is resonating with you. Okay? I don't want to feel like I'm free just because I'm not on a plantation and I still feel like I'm a slave, but I'm able to walk about the world and go to the store and, and do the things, but I still feel enslaved in my mind. I have a problem with that. I still feel like I'm being monitored and surveillanced. We live in a world that when you defend yourself and you being attacked, somehow they want to put you in jail, or somehow they want to make you the problem, or they want to tell you how you're supposed to respond to people who are intentionally traumatizing or abusing you or attacking you, harassing you, whatever. That's not freedom to me. That's not freedom when I have to be on eggshells around anybody. Okay? That's not freedom. So we want to be free on every multidimensional plane, all of your spiritual bodies. And that requires integration. That requires healing. Okay? And that requires authenticity. Although we still are all subject to this system at the end of the day. And that's because enough of the collective ain't woke up yet. And I ain't talking about waking up to just be enraged. We've done that. Our people have done that. They've been enraged. They tried to fight back. That's not it. Okay? Being enraged with no strategy is a weakness in war. That's a weakness. Right? Because if you're predictable, then you can be controlled. So this is why we practice observing and detachment. Not only if you're able to be predicted and controlled, they are able to infiltrate. They've always infiltrated every single operation that the people have tried to do to retaliate against slavery. You know, our activists, our so-called freedom speakers, they were enraged with no strategy. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. Because if you know anything about war, and if you really are living a life that you say you're living, you will know the importance of not being predictable. You cannot be predictable in war. I gotta move on because they still trying to silence me, okay? So they envy how you move without being readable. Okay? So envy as a surveillance. Envy turns into monitoring, studying, observing, mirroring, psychological profiling, timeline tracking, spiritual mapping. Not because you are a suspect, okay? But because you are a pattern disruptor. They envy the frequency that you carry because you are a low frequency disruptor, and because it's ancient, it's primordial, it's sovereign, and it's uncolonized. Okay? Tell y'all they need bodies, not thinkers. They want your body. They want your critical thinking off. Okay? They don't want you knowing who you are. They don't want you knowing your power, and damn sure your sovereignty, and then standing on it. Okay? They want you indoctrinated and colonized. So envy as attempted energetic containment. My knee is hurting. So this shows up as distractions, chaos insertions, emotional overwhelm, isolation attempts, social interferences, reputation fogs, psychic noise, projection fields. Okay, these are not always conscious attacks. Most are unconscious reactions to your frequency overpowering theirs, right? Their envy activates their survival programming. Okay, so these are agents for the Matrix, NPCs. These are not critical thinkers. These are people who are programmed, and they are programmed to respond to your expansion, your higher consciousness, your higher frequency. Okay, it activates their survival programming, and then they do what? Attack, whether covertly or overtly. Okay, envy as a timeline interference. This is the one nobody probably talks about much. I don't know. People probably don't talk about half of what I'm just talking about. But anyway, when a powerful soul incarnates, okay, you come with a mission, a frequency contract, a destiny, a karmic lineage, and you are restoring the grid. Okay, the divine grid. That's basically, you are an architect of the divine grid and frequency. Okay, so shadow networks will attempt to create division, delays, distraction, doubt, and despair. So this is why we also monitor how we feel. What emotions are we feeling? Okay, so we know, where am I being attacked at or targeted at? Because then you start to decode your emotions in your nervous system, right? All thoughts that enter into your mind are not necessarily yours, especially if it's not rooted in higher consciousness and your higher self. What would your higher self say? Would your higher self be okay with you being in despair, depressed, stressed? No. That's how you pretty much have to think about that, because your timeline alters collective consciousness, okay? So they envy the impact your existence has on on the direction reality it moves. Okay. So they envy the impact your existence has on the direction of reality. Okay, y'all. We almost done here. So we're going to get into the biggest envy of all, which is basically when they envy that they cannot, or you cannot be owned. You cannot be recruited. You cannot be absorbed. You cannot be controlled. Okay, manipulated. Secret societies want allegiance. Intelligence networks want predictability. Shadow groups want energetic compliance. Okay. And I want to add to this shadow group because we want to add handlers, narcissists, anybody that operates in dark triad type energy, psychopaths, all of that. They go alongside these shadow groups that want energetic compliance as well. Okay. Because they move like an op in a shadow government. So you give no one your mind, your will, your spirit, your intuition, nor do you give them your sovereignty. That's the source that they envy. That's the source that they are not equal to. Okay. They don't have the power to destroy a sovereign being that's connected to the source, the creation of all life. Like what would they say? you got too much dip on your chip. But they too stupid to realize that because they're psychopaths. Okay? They're split in consciousness. All right? They're disconnected from source. So they're delusional. All right? So I'm going to leave this live here. We're going to talk more about this topic in the next live. We're going to go into some archetypes within certain secret societies and more surveillance, projection, and a few other things in regards to like intelligence archetypes and who are they. You know, when we say they, when I say they, I'm talking about anybody that's in opposition of your sovereignty. They are a they. Okay. They ain't one of us. They are not like us. Okay. So you is a it. Okay. Like Pennywise. They a it. Okay. So yeah, we're going to delve a little deeper into this topic on the next live. Do anybody have any questions? Do anybody have anything you want to say in the comments? I know that this topic can be very heavy. I do encourage y'all to go to YouTube and watch the replays if you need to, so that you can fully digest what's being said. Okay. Sometimes I go back and watch videos more than once if I need to. Okay. So you'll have it. The information will be there. Okay. And I'm trying to see if there's anything that I can say really quick or need to say. Yeah. You just keep in mind that you are operating from a destabilizing frequency. Okay. You are powerful. You are much more powerful than they wanted you to believe. Okay. They tried to suppress your memory. They tried. And when I say they, that could be your family. That could be anybody that was in proximity of you. They tried to get you to forget. They also could not fully trauma-based program you, okay, like they would do a lot of other children because of your frequency. Someone here, okay? So they knew if they had performed their textbook trauma programming tactics, abuse upon you, that it would have activated you too soon. So they tried to delay your awakening. That was the goal. They wanted to delay the awakening and stabilize the frequency. That makes sense. They didn't want your frequency to rise. They couldn't stop it, because it's divine. They can't control it because it's divine. So they had to utilize the power that they feel like they do have by way of your environment and the adults who had influence over you. They were used as agents to delay you, creating a chaotic environment to stop you. But not too much. Not too much on the chosen one, the divine, because they're going to awaken. Because why? They go within. You understand? We go within. See, we don't respond to trauma the way that an average person will respond to trauma. Not that you deserved it. Not at all. But trauma activates something deep within us. And we gain more intelligence, more awareness. Our gifts increase its abilities. So they take a risk coming from the divine source chosen ones, okay? The ones that's connected to source. They take a risk. So they was trying to stop you from becoming exactly who you was destined to become anyway. It was nothing that they could have done. If that were the case, why are you still living? Why are you still going? Why are we still living in our purpose? Because they cannot override the divine. That's the law. That is a cosmic law. So knowing that should encourage you to not move in fear. Be confident. Be confident in knowing. Because I feel like I said, if it was something that they wanted to take out and it ain't that they ain't got the power or they ain't got the equipment to do so. They ain't did it. So what now? Oh, they want you to just dwell. They want you to dwell in that. What if they come and get me? What if they try to come unalive me? What if they try? If they was going to do it, they would have did it by now. And that still ain't going to stop nothing because energy isn't created nor destroyed. That still won't stop you. If anything, it will make you more free. It'll make you more of a problem. So living your truth, unapologetically, authentically. Don't worry about how people going to perceive you. The ones that need to be, the ones that resonate with you will receive you and all of you. And they won't be looking to try to control you or make you become something that you're not. Okay? Only weird motherfuckers want to control another person. Or want to stop another person from being who they are. That's weird. It's strange. And I find it very suspicious. And that needs to be studied. The fact that you are obsessed with somebody you hate, that needs to be studied. I don't watch people I don't like. I block people quick. I don't want to see you. I don't have enough energy, time, or care to want to stop you from doing anything in your life. You could do whatever the hell you want to do. Don't give a fuck, never did. Okay? So don't worry about what people have to say about you that's negative about you. Okay? Don't worry about that. Because when you start speaking your truth, people are going to be triggered by that, especially if they know they did you in. They know they did you dirty. I say tell it all. And let all their asses fall. Tell it all. I don't give a damn. And it's not about retaliating. It's about me speaking my truth and accepting that that is what I experienced. Sometimes you need to say things out loud for it to really be like, damn, I experienced that. And then you will find out is that other people can relate to that same experience. Or they could, or if it wasn't the same experience, it'll be similar. Okay? That's what you will find. So speaking your truth liberates you. It liberates you in a way that silence could never. So speak your truth. Live in your truth. And don't give a damn about people who don't like it. That's not your business. It's not your concern. That's their problem. They're miserable anyway. Misery loves company, right? A miserable motherfucker gonna try to make you feel miserable because they miserable within themselves. They hate themselves. And then when you really, really think about it, at its core, all of this manipulation, projection, abuse, toxic relationships, all of that is because they envy who you are. Do you know how sick that is? That is sick. And even people that you have been in romantic relationships with couldn't even fully show up for you because they envy who you naturally are. Go figure. So then you find yourself in power struggles unnecessarily because they want to control and dominate you. So much so to the point where a lot of women are being unalived to the hands of men who are toxic and want to control them. Okay? That's what it's really about. That's what that power struggle is about. That's what domestic violence is rooted in. Envy. It's rooted in envy. So don't give nobody the time of day. They show you the first time, you cut them off. They show you the first time they can't be trusted, that they're narcissistic, that they're toxic. When you feel like they're trying to control you in any way. Nobody should be trying to control how you look, how you talk, where you want to work, what you want to do with your life. Nobody should be trying to control any aspect of your life. If you feel like you got to walk on eggshells around a motherfucker, they need to be gone out your life. You don't need them. You have to surround yourself by people who egg you on and want you to become the best version of yourself. Those are your people. Anybody trying to talk you out of your dream? Matter of fact, stop sharing your dreams with other people. Just pop out and show their ass. Okay? Someone here. Spirit talking. Okay? Pop out and show them. You don't have to tell people, I want to do this. I plan to do this. No, just do it. No more talking. Just do. Close the gap between thought and action. Just do it. Okay? And you'll find that once you establish boundaries, people who operate from this gang-stalking energy, you won't even resonate on that frequency. They're automatically going to remove themselves from your life. Automatically. You're going to be wondering, hey, what I do to them? Nothing. You just raised your frequency. They can't dwell in a frequency that they can't integrate. They don't have the capacity to hold your frequency and then exchange and dwell in the energy of reciprocity, right? It all goes back to frequency. So your people will resonate at your frequency, okay? No more tolerating gang stalker people that have direct access to you. Get them people up out your space. When you out and about and you pick up on this gang stalking energy, note it. Okay. Don't give it no energy at all. No response. Bye. Don't have to. What they gonna do about it? Nothing. Because if you ain't responding to them, then they don't have nothing to respond to. So folks has been exposing themselves, especially narcs and psychopaths. Exactly. And I really feel like it's getting to a point where it's going to show on their faces. They're going to be significantly aged, drained looking. They're going to start looking like that parasite that's attached to their ass. That's what they're going to start looking like. Because as we raise the frequency, we also raise the frequency of Earth. They can't dwell at a higher frequency. They can't. So what does that mean? They ain't going to be able to shapeshift the way that they've been shapeshifting. Them masks going to be null and void. They ain't going to be able to wear no masks. Them reptilians ain't going to be able to be a reptilian. or whatever the hell. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so y'all, yes, let's go. Have a big, beautiful day on purpose, with a purpose. I'm gonna post it to my YouTube sometime today. So be sure to follow me or subscribe to the channel over on YouTube. Check out my new merch. And what else? My healing trauma ebook. Tonight I'm gonna try to go live on my YouTube. I've been doing a tarot tea readings at night. Okay, where we pretty much just tap into the shadows, expose these shadows, and we call divine judgment on these shadows. So that's the whole point. Okay. So I'll be on YouTube live for that. Anything else? I don't know. I think that's about it. But yes, y'all too. Okay, love and gratitude. I say y'all.